4 o'clock now, and we start with a former Aurora police officer who's found himself in quite a legal quandary. He's facing 2 separate criminal assault cases, but he's also being sued by a woman who claims that he had attacked her.
And now the city of Aurora is trying to get out of defending him in the lawsuit. Jeremy Hohola reports it's a unique legal maneuver in the wake of police accountability in Colorado.
If there's anybody in Colorado who may not be sleeping at night because of stacked up legal problems, it's former Aurora cop Douglas Haroon. He's currently facing 2 separate criminal assault cases. One for shooting a man in the ankle while on duty in 2022. And then a month later, he was arrested for attacking and choking a woman during a fight over a dog while on leave from the police department. That woman filed a federal lawsuit against Haroon and the city of Aurora with photos showing bruising. She claimed Haroon flashed his police badge before the attack. And now, the city of Aurora has filed its own lawsuit against Haroon, which seeks to get off the hook from defending him in the woman's lawsuit.
And they've asked for what's called a declaratory judgment.
It's a bit complicated, but 9 News legal expert Whitney Traylor explains it pretty simply. The city hopes a judge will agree that Haroon had been stripped of his police powers when he allegedly attacked the woman.
And so what they've done is Aurora police has said, we don't think we're liable. He wasn't acting under color of state law. He wasn't acting as an employee. He was on leave.
However, in his own legal filing, Haroon says Aurora should defend him because he was still technically employed as a police officer at the time of the encounter with the woman. If a judge agrees with the city of Aurora, Haroon will have to defend himself and potentially lose a lot of his own money.
But this is a unique situation where a law enforcement agency, the Aurora Police Department, is saying, hey, we're not on the hook. And that's relevant because we've just passed the police accountability bill, which says that an individual officer can be liable for at least a portion of that.
I reached out to Douglas Haroon for comment. He actually answered his phone, but he said he did not have time to talk about this story. In his 2 separate criminal assault cases, he has 2 trials set for May and then another set in June. The city of Aurora is not defending him in those criminal cases. Quite the legal quandary here.
Yeah, it's this accountability law has changed a lot of things, raises a lot of questions.
Yeah, and now he may be personally liable in that federal lawsuit. That means if she wins in court, he's going to have to pay up. However, her attorney would likely want the city of Aurora to remain as a defendant because they have deeper pockets. Right?
Yeah,
for a
the
payout.
question immediately is how much does he even have? So.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Jeremy.
Warmed up again today, so we saw more melting even through some of the clouds that wouldn't budge over Lookout Mountain. The temperatures did, though, get up over 50 degrees today.
Another storm is getting ready to roll on in. Kathy is tracking that for us as well. Kathy, we're hoping that there's just like a little blip.
Yeah, nothing like last Saturday, at least for Denver, but there will be some accumulating snow on Saturday, so we kind of need to prepare for that. The big story, though, is in the mountains, where heavy snow is already beginning to impact travel. For lower elevations, I know it looks gloomy and murky, but we've been in the mid-50s in downtown Denver in spite of the cloud cover. Clouds are coming in across the high country ahead of that next Pacific storm, and you'll notice the temperatures are way above average for this time of year, even with the cloud deck. We had 60s in eastern Colorado. We're still 51 in Denver. You can see where all that cloud cover is coming from, that California storm that's been dropping so much rain. Houses are sliding off their foundations, mudslides, flooding issues. San Diego, I think they had a tornado warning in San Diego today. This is a really weird storm, and it's coming toward Colorado, and we're already seeing that moisture increasing over the southwest mountains, where the northwest, the southwest, the eastern San Juans could be looking at 2 to 3 feet of snow. So the area in orange to the north in Aspen is just the beginning of high avalanche danger watches and warnings. For Denver, the cloud cover actually will move out overnight. We'll get some clearing, a little more sunshine tomorrow, another nice day. But as this wave, the first wave, crosses the Continental Divide, we might actually see a rain shower here. Again, a little unusual for February, really won't impact travel, but don't be surprised if you see a few raindrops on your windshield tomorrow. Beautiful mild evening. Clouds will be moving out. Coming up, detailing the timing of the storm and how much snow to expect here in Denver on the weekend.
Thanks, Kathy. We'll wait for that. Right now, we're following some developing news in Brighton. Police are investigating a bank robbery at 4th Avenue and Bridge Street. This is a TBK bank. Sky 9's over the area right now. Brighton police say no one is in custody at this time, and officers are working to gather more information. People are being asked to avoid the area of 4th Avenue and Bridge in Brighton as they investigate what appears to be a bank robbery. For the first time, a parent of a school shooter has been tried and found guilty. The mom of a teen from Michigan who killed 4 classmates is convicted of involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, the jury deliberated Jennifer Crumbley's fate for just over 10 hours. Of course, this case was testing the limits of who can be held responsible in a criminal shooting. The prosecution argued that Crumbley bore responsibility, saying she was grossly negligent in giving a gun to her 15-year-old son and failing to get him proper mental health treatment. Now she's facing up to 15 years in prison, and her husband James is set to go on trial on those same charges early next month.
An update this afternoon, a federal appeals court ruled Donald Trump isn't immune from prosecution for alleged crimes he committed to reverse the 2020 election results. This is a major blow to the former president's key defense. Trump has pleaded not guilty to 4 counts, arguing he had presidential immunity. The ruling today can be appealed directly to the Supreme Court. Colorado is joining a warning letter to a suspected election scam using AI robocallers.
So these investigators in New Hampshire say they're now closing in on the company they say is responsible for thousands of fake Joe Biden robocalls. That state's attorney general says the calls days before New Hampshire's presidential primary used an imposter sounding like Joe Biden to encourage Democrats not to vote. Investigators, though, trace the calls back to a Texas-based company called Life Corp. The AG in New Hampshire says while they are making progress in their investigation, there's not yet enough evidence to bring any charges, but he says the case represents a unique threat to democracy.
It's particularly deceptive to imitate the voice of a prominent official such as the President of the United States, right? I mean, that's a level of deception we have not seen before, at least in this state.
So today, the New Hampshire Attorney General, along with Colorado's Democratic AG Phil Weiser and 49 other attorneys general, sent a cease and desist letter to the company. So if they don't stop, that company may be found in violation of state consumer protection laws. So are you hosting a Super Bowl party this weekend? The chances are that will include at least one trip to the grocery store over the next few days, and we all know how expensive that has become.
I stopped by today. They got everything laid out exactly where you think you might need it.
They're ready.
And things you didn't know you needed that you see at the end of the aisles. They always snag you. Steve's on your side today with tips on how to keep your grocery bill from breaking the bank.
According to the National Retail Federation, we're going to hit record spending on Super Bowl celebrations.
It may seem like we tell you that every year, but this year it's even more of a drain as labor shortages and lingering supply chain issues keep prices at the grocery store high. Shopping expert Trey Bodge with TrueTray.com has some advice to keep your Super Bowl party snacks on budget.
I would be a little bit flexible with your menu. If you can plan around what's on sale, that will definitely save you.
Not only what's on sale, but what's more available will save you.
I would also suggest buying in season versus out of season.
USDA says party produce like apples, carrots, celery, potatoes, avocados, limes, and lemons are in season right now. And when it comes to getting those trays ready for guests,
you do want to avoid ordering pre-chopped items because you're essentially paying for that labor to have the items chopped.
Have your household teenager do that work instead. While you're at the grocery store, Bodge says you might want to grab store brand rather than name brand because of a phenomenon called shrinkflation.
Meaning that brands are reducing the size of those items and charging the same price versus the generic or store brand, those prices are holding.
And for the stuff you know your guests are going to decimate, chips, pre-made dips, and guac, think big.
Try buying in bulk. If you happen to have a wholesale club membership, now is the time to use it.
If you're like me, hosting a party, you like to show off. Bodge says maybe it's best to let your guests do some of that work. Try a potluck. Let everyone bring their best dip, dessert, etc. That way everyone gets to show off and you're not stuck with a giant bill at the grocery store. I'm Steve Steger. Steve on your side, 9 News.
Yeah, got to share the cost. That means maybe bring your own beer too, whatever. Watching the Super Bowl, a record 68 million Americans are expected to also bet more than $23 billion. And that's where you can save some money. That's up 35% from last year. A new report from the American Gaming Association says Super Bowl wagers are expected to pass casual bets like betting with friends or one of those office pools a second straight year. Nearly 29 million adults plan to place online bets using a legal U.S. sportsbook.